men of Reddit who proposed and she said no. What happened afterwards with your life?
We were living together. I asked. She said no. I love you but I need to think about it. I don't think I'm ready yet. Can you give me some time and ask later? A few months go by. I ask again. Same response. A few more months. Same deal. A couple more weeks and then she says, hey, what do you think of us getting married? I replied, that's an excellent idea. Why didn't I think of that? Our 39th anniversary is next month. Dated a woman for over 2 years and popped the question. First time she said I don't know. A couple months later I asked her again. She said maybe. I was pretty bent out of shape, but then I found out she was sleeping with several of my friends, so I dodged the bullet there really. We lived together for another 6 years until she changed her mind and told me that I should ask again. We were engaged for over a year and got married in 1991. We are still married, have 3 children, and are both still very much in love. It was really bad for a while, then it was really bad, then it became really bad, then it became bad, then it was just law, then it was neutral, then things started to get better. They continued to get better by me learning to be happy and me doing me things. I eventually found someone else, and things have been getting better for 20 years now. My mom rejected my father the first 2 times, lol, there was no real hard feelings between them. I guess my mother was just not ready for marriage yet. She ended up proposing to him. My grandmother and mother sewed a suit for their dog to wear, and attached a sign around his neck with a ring that read, "Will you marry me?" Then she sent the dog out into the kitchen to beg for scraps, while my father was preparing dinner. The next thing she heard was a very concerned voice shouting, "Honey, the dog is asking me to marry him." Cue absolute hysterics. My dad said yes to the proposal. My human dad and my human mom are still married 2 decades later. Edit. My parents found a photo of the dog. I asked her right out of high school, but she wasn't ready. We stayed together, went to college at the same school, spent the first year in separate dorms, then moved in together, got married a few years later. Our 20th is coming up. Not sure if this count, but I proposed. She said yes, but 1 month before the wedding she took it back. This is what happened immediately with my life. I personally lost about $3,000 worth of deposits. My parents and her parents lost about $4,000 each on deposits. Me and my parents are working class, so it took years for us to financially recover from this. I spent $2,200 on a ring I didn't want. My biggest regret, and will say this anyone who listens, the engagement ring chain I bought it from wouldn't take it back. I took it to pawn shops and they'd only offer a few hundred. If you're going to buy a ring, just buy the stone a gold band setting. You can get a better deal from a local jewelry store. Apparently my gem I bought was shit. Most of my family was from out of state and a lot of people were pissed because they canceled their flight. I had to go to the ER, so I didn't leave my room. I couldn't take any calls because everyone was pissed and I didn't want to hear it. I was depressed and just stayed in bed. One day my roommate grabbed me and took me to the ER where the doctor treated me for severe dehydration and an infection. What happened when I got over it? I became stronger for it. I didn't propose to anyone until a decade later. Honestly, there wasn't anyone that I didn't love deeply enough to be in a committed relationship. But when I proposed I was in my 30s. Our relationship was more mature than my first time I proposed. We're now married for 13 years. She's my best friend. When I have good news, she's the first person I want to tell it to. When I have bad news, she's the first person I want to tell it to. I financially recovered as well. I learned my lesson about the engagement ring, only paid $300 for it. She loved it and treasures it. After our 10-year milestone we were doing so well. I told her to pick a wedding ring of any cost. She refused. She still wears that cheap $300 ring and loves it. I was a young Marine. I was only home during the weekends. Was dating this girl for about a year from my hometown. When I asked, she said yes. Her dad, former Navy, kept saying we should wait. We put it off for a bit longer. Fast forward another year, she dumped me. Father informs me she has been sleeping with a lot of guys, like more than 50 over the 2 years we dated. and was very happy I didn't marry her, and apologizes to me for her behavior. She then totally ghosting everyone including her family for about 6 months. Find out she moved 7 hours away and was living under a house, not a basement, under a house with her new boyfriend. She calls her mom to come get her. Mother and father asked me to go get her and bring her home. Good times, good times. She had cancer. I said we should get married, because I had full medical coverage from my work. She said no, and over time we grew apart. Haven't talked to her in 15 years, don't know if she died. Very first girlfriend ever, started dating at 17. After 6 years of dating I proposed. She said, no, I'm sorry. I asked why. She said, I've been thinking about this for a while but didn't talk to you about it. I found someone else. Then she broke up with me right then and there. I asked if she cheated and she said no, we're just friends right now, but he makes me happy when I'm with him and you just don't. You used to, but not anymore. I tried sabotaging their relationship when I found him begging her for nudes. Tattled to her ultra-Christian parents that he was twice her age, which he is, and did everything I could to be the insane one. Finally realized what I was doing, apologized, promised to never talk to her or her family ever again. I sold the ring and used the money to buy a guitar and a boatload of weed, and spiraled out of control for 3 years, flunked all my classes, got a dead-end job at a construction gig, slowly descended into borderline alcoholism, couldn't leave the house or go to work or do my job without being high, gained a ton of weight, let myself go. Finally contemplated suicide, planned it out with a 20-page instruction manual on how to make it painless, not screw it up, and not hurt anyone in the process. Never went through with it because I kept getting scared and spending my suicide fund on weed and alcohol. Finally broke down and told my parents all of this. Asked for help. Spent another year in a rehab program with a therapist. Got out and have been clean for 3 years by this September and still wake up at 3 a.m. feeling sick every couple of months for the way I treated her after having spent 6 years telling her that I loved her. But that's all over now, and all I can do is learn from it, promise to be better, and keep going. So now I'm turning 29 in a week, still living at home with parents, and constantly battling self-loathing and anxiety while working a job for $9.25 an hour. But I pay my parents $300/month to stay with them, and I'm going back to school, taking the minimum number of credit hours per semester since I'm paying for it out of pocket, and I work full-time and overtime when I can get it, but slowly dragged my GPA from a 1.28 to a 2.64 and can start getting help next semester instead of paying for all of it out of pocket. Now, I also lost a ton of weight during the pandemic and weigh just 189 now. In rehab I dropped to 220, but I was closer to 245-250 before that. Safe to say I won't be worth dating for a long time, but maybe when I get my degree under my belt and finish growing and learning I can get a self-sustaining job, I can move out and truly start over. Thank you a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.